consecrated exclusively to Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine. He took the nation by storm some weeks back when he announced that he wanted to run as an independent candidate for this year's presidential elections. Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine is my guest tonight. He's going to be telling me and you also why he took up that decision and what he thinks he can add to the way the nation looks like. Good evening, Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine. I am glad to have you on Prime Hour this night.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Cameroonians and viewers of Prime Hour tonight. I'm very honored to be here today to share my vision for the nation Cameroon. And for those of you who have been asking for my manifesto, constitutionally and by the law, it's not yet time for any presidential aspirant or any political party to bring out its manifesto. So for tonight, I'm going to be discussing my motivation for coming up as a presidential aspirant for the year 2025.
Okay, we are glad to have you. And if you're watching the program and you have a question for Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine, please put it through to us. Meanwhile, we seize this opportunity to once again congratulate the management of the Chakiri Cooperative Credit Union. They won our Viewers' Choice Best Credit Union Award, and we are expecting them out here to receive their award. We'll start with you, Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine. What came over you? Since when have you been nursing this dream? What is the key motivation for your decision to wanting to run as president of Cameroon?
Yes, Mr. Lou, very brilliant question there. Every Cameroonian that has followed me closely, both on ground and online, they've seen my passion and my love for this nation, and I want to put my motivation around the word love. It's my love for this nation. I've preached patriotism in all conferences I've attended in and out of this country. I've preached the love of this nation, and it is my love for this nation that is motivating me to come up, because I want to see this nation better than what it is. I want to begin this program by acknowledging our fathers, paying homage to them, those who are alive and those who are dead, for the enormous work they've done in this nation to bring Cameroon to this level, beginning from the Andre Marimbidas, the Paul Sopoprizos, the Amadou Aijos, the Ruben Omniobe, the Ernest Wandi, the Felix Lamumi, and John Frundi of blessed memory, even President Pobia, who have contributed immensely to bring our nation Cameroon to where it is today, and we believe they have done a very great job. But as a younger generation coming up, we think that there is more to add to this nation, and that's why I'm coming up to add, not to insult what has been done, equally to make the nation have a better face than what it has had so far. And I believe that as a younger generation, we have some energy to inject in this nation to push it to the next level. So we pay homage and we pay respect to all our fathers who have contributed to the Endelis, the Mbiles, who contributed in the Tumazas, the Siga Sangas, who actually have built this nation from scratch to where it is today. And it's my love and my passion for this nation, my patriotic virtue which I possess for this nation, that is pushing me to come up to take the baton of leadership to push this nation to the next level. And I believe, like President Pobia once said, all of us will pass away, but Cameroon will remain. And I think a generation is coming this time around to push the nation to the next level.
Okay, that is the passion you have for Cameroon. If you're watching the program across Cameroon and out of Cameroon, please just indicate to us where you are watching from. Send a question to Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine. I'll ask it. I hope he meets your aspirations. Dr. Apostle Ambe, what is fundamentally wrong with Cameroon, if I may ask?
Yes, Cameroon is at its good, but we need the better and the best of Cameroon. A lot of things are wrong in Cameroon, Mr. Leo. We have been clamoring for economic growth. And from my research, I've realized that there can be no economic growth when there is not sufficient energy and there is not good transport network. And I think that with these two deficiencies in our nation, Cameroon, we cannot push to the industrial level we intend to achieve. I have seen people who have left abroad come to this country. They want to establish huge industries, but the energy level cannot carry the kind of machineries they are bringing into this country. Because of that, they are discouraged. And secondly, from my analysis and my research, I've realized that countries that develop too fast are countries that have very strong transport network. If you look at it critically, in a country like Botswana, a neighboring country in Africa, there is no way people can start settling an environment without good road network in that environment. So what the Botswanas or the Botswanas, what they do is that they tar roads in that environment and then make it not habitable for people. Not like the case in Cameroon Post. I live in a community and then start thinking of digging trenches and digging roads. That's not the order. The order is to make road pass in that particular environment and people can start settling the environment right now. So that's my vision, to make roads. And I think we have a deficiency in our transport network because we are belaboring or over-laboring our road network. If you look at it critically, in other countries, they have other means of transport. They have rails, they have airways, they have rivers, sea, and they have the road. But if you look at it critically in Cameroon, we practically overuse the roads. That's why when we construct roads, the roads do not last. For instance, if we had interurban flights that could carry people from Karwa to Ngaoundere, we open up the transport network to so many people to set up airlines. You realize that the amount of persons that go to Yaoundé per day will not exhaust the roads the way if we had aircraft or rail lines running through that path. The same with other parts of the country. So I think if we expand the transport network from just the road to the rails, to the sea, and to the air, it will make our roads last for a longer period of time. And that is one of the fundamental requirements for every industrial growth in any nation. And I think we are suffering in that aspect when it comes to the transport network in this country. We have just a single airline, which is the nation-based airline. But I think that sector should be open for private airline owners who could also come in with different private lines that can make the transportation easy and even cheaper, because when the market is competitive, it will ease. An average Gabonese can boast of entering an aircraft, but entering an aircraft in Cameroon is prestigious and only for a few class of people, which is not supposed to be so. So I think with a very strong transport network, it's going to help us expedite our industrialization. Second, lays emphasis on hydroelectricity. Even though we are the second nation with the highest hydroelectric power in the continent Africa, I think that depending only on the hydroelectricity is efficiency, and we need sufficient power in order to expand the industrialization in this country. That has to do with if we can introduce the energy sector of incinerators. These are structures put in place when we use refuse and all debt in the society to generate energy. It's done in China, it's done in Holland, it's done in Singapore, it's done in other countries. That's a source of energy. We equally have solar. People also come to establish solar energy in this country. Depending only on hydro energy will not give us the opportunity to explore the energy sector, and which is a very fundamental requirement. We have had persons who have come to establish industries in Cameroon in particular locations, but the energy capacity in those locations were not strong enough to establish those industries. So if you want to talk about unemployment, underemployment, and unemployable, because there are three categories. I know most politicians lay emphasis on unemployment, underemployment, but there is a third category called the unemployable, which I think is another aspect I'm going to be dealing with on this broadcast.
Okay. Now, fundamentally, there is an issue of corruption in Cameroon, where resources are located for the development of the nation get embezzled or misused or abused by those charged with implementing projects. We've seen so many persons in prison today, yet the measures seem not to be deterrent enough. How do you plan to tackle this aspect?
Yes, the approach to which we engage into projects in Cameroon, they open up for people to steal. This is because our approach is very poor. To me, ministries are supposed to be an executing arm of projects. Our universities are supposed to be centers for research. In case we want to construct a road from Yaoundé to Douala, a civil engineering department of a university has to be in charge of that job. They do the research, they carry out the cost of everything. The university is one that does the research, bring out the cost. The ministry is just to execute. Unfortunately, we give execution, research, and finances in the hand of the ministry. If we separate these two, there will be no link between the ministry and the university. The universities will be given the budget for projects to be executed, while the ministries execute the project. So our learning centers, which are research centers, supposed to be where the research is being done. the costing is being done. We have to explore the gift and the talents that we have in our universities. Unfortunately, people write projects in university, we dump them every day in gazettes, in magazines every day. This research done in universities are supposed to be the centers of research. So there will be a gap between him that controls the finances and he that does the research and the costing. So the ministry is to operate on what the university researchers have done so far. It is time for us to engage our universities and put them to serious work so that they can get these things done because of their expertise. You cannot carry a civil engineer who is a lecturer and put in the university, and you are putting somebody in a ministry to do a costing of a project or a research of a project where a researcher is in the university just there to lecture in classrooms. So university centers are going to be where we are going to be costing projects, doing research on projects, while the projects are being sent to ministries for execution. So the ministries will not be too encompassed with so much responsibility, because we are going to use our institutions and the brains that are there to do the research and do the costing. So that's the approach.
Yeah, but corruption cuts across. In schools, we have corruption, in hospitals, and in other domains. At the ports, almost everywhere, we have corrupt practices.
This is because much is left in the hands of individuals. Like I said earlier, once on this platform, if you look at it critically, our method of collecting even money on the roadside creates a space for corruption. If at all we digitize the economy, where money is paid through cards and the money drops into the central unit, the persons who collect money by the roadside will not be able to penetrate the finances and also misuse the finances. So I think if there is a gap between he that does the research and present the project and the costing and him that is executing it, it is going to create a very serious gap between these two sectors, and it's going to be difficult for corruption to take place, because you have created a platform where one man is executing, another person is doing the costing. So that will help. And then also we are going to set up policies. There are going to be policies for sustainable development. These policies are going to be very strict disciplines, which are going to be engaged to deal with people who carry out corruption. Because I think we are too flexible when it comes in managing corrupt leaders. I can remember in the days where somebody was locked in prison for mismanaging 600,000 francs CFA. And that one instilled fear in the hearts of all those who were walking around him, and projects were executed with some level of respect. There is no way we can erase corruption totally, but there's a certain level to which we can put an end to it by killing about 80 to 90% of its manifestation in the public and projects of the state. Okay.
We are waiting for your questions for Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine in tonight's edition of Prime Hour. There is an issue that is also very disturbing in Cameroon. We're talking about hate speech. There is the prevalence of discrimination and tribalism, where Cameroonians identify with their village first, their region second, and then before identifying as Cameroon, there is that quest for a true Cameroonian identity, where almost everybody from all the ethnicities and regions of this country can easily, readily identify with.
Yes, that is because we don't operate through meritocracy. We operate on regionalism, we operate on ethnicity, we operate on tribalism, and even nepotism. The problem we have in Cameroon is not the absence of law, it's the rule of law. And I think if the rule of law takes over the law, the magistrate will not become the law. The state council will not become the law. The state councils are there to interpret the law, and the magistrates are to interpret the law within the context of the law. But the issue is there are so many laws in Cameroon. If you go through Cameroon, the legal system or the penal code, you will see very excellent laws. The problem is the rule of law. The interpretation and the application of this law is where the problem is. And to establish a fervent and a very serious system that operates under the rule of law, we are going to set up agencies. Agencies are the ones that enforce the law, because there is no way you can successfully carry out the rule of law without existing agencies to enforce these laws. For instance, the agencies in Cameroon are almost dormant. They are not active. This is because the discipline begins with him, the leader, because you can't change people from what you have not changed from. Look, for instance, if presidents who come to power will cut down their salary, they have begun the salary reduction with their own salary. automatically it gives them the impetus and the right to go further to cut down the salaries of other workers. What you have not started with yourself, an example, you cannot affect or cause it to manifest in the life of individuals. So it begins with the leader. And I think sometimes we can say so many things about the rule of law because people are enacting law that has not changed them. I think the finger that has to be pointed, it should be pointed first to the leader. The reason why people sometimes don't respect the law or respect the rule of law is simply because the person who is enacting that law is not an example to the law. It's simple. It's a principle that operates everywhere. If you go to an organization where the finances is not properly managed, you will discover that people will be stealing finances because the boss himself does not know how to manage finances. So I think every leader that comes must be a role model. He must be a pathfinder. He must be a trailblazer. The law has to begin with him, the leader, before it can affect now the followers. People can only respect you based on what you apply to yourself. So I think what we have in Cameroon is excellent law, but we lack the rule of law. And I think the rule of law cannot be established if agencies are not put in place to enforce the law, not doing it at the convenience of people, but doing it at the betterment of the entire nation. This is the reason why I think the idea of the rule of law is very essential, because at one point people have become the law instead of applying the law.
Yeah, people have become the law instead of applying the law, and there is also the disturbing issue of separation of power, where almost many persons would think that the executive will cut across the legislative and the judiciary. How are we going to see into it that each arm of the government functions independently?
If you want to see anybody that will establish a balance in the legislative, the judiciary, and the executive, is a president that begins by reducing his own power.
Okay.
You see, I critically observed the rulership of Lazarus Chakwera of Malawi. When he came to power, the first thing he said was that the constitution empowers the president a lot. They have to amend the constitution to reduce the powers of the president. And I think if a leader will come to this nation that intends to transform the nation, he has to begin with reducing the amount of power he exerts as a leader. And I think that is where we have a very serious problem as far as our nation, Cameroon, is concerned. By so doing, it will give now the legislative and the judiciary arm the opportunity to exhibit their offices successfully. Unfortunately, we have a system that is a bit totally different from all other systems of the world. Well, that is the existing system. But somebody has to take up the responsibility to dismantle and to separate power between the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative. So it has to begin with the leader himself accepting the fact that the amount of power given to him is too much for effective leadership to manifest in the nation. It has to begin with him reducing the power of the president and also releasing power to the executive and the judiciary arm, making them independent according to the constitution.
Okay. Institutions, we have institutions in Cameroon. Are you very comfortable with the number of institutions that we have and their effectiveness? Do you have the impression that some are obsolete, not useful?
About 80% of the institutions we have in Cameroon are obsolete, okay, because they are not carrying out their duty. Probably they may have a title, or they may have a function, they may have a job description of executing law and order, but they are not carrying those responsibilities.
They're not enforcing or implementing.
Yeah, they're not implementing those responsibilities. This is because, like I said earlier, Mr. Liu, it has to do with the head. These institutions, we talk about anti-corruption institutions. Yet people are stealing money almost every day. People who steal these finances are not even arrested by these anti-corruption institutions. They are being trapped by other institutions of the nation. And these people are locked up in prison for many years and no kobo from them is recovered. And I believe that if somebody is arrested as a thief, the first thing we have to do is a recovery plan to recover the resources on how to do to advance the cause of the nation. So I think the institutions are just a shadow cabinet, not carrying out their responsibility. And it has to do with the amount of powers given to them also, because people will always give you a good and then hold the rope behind. You meet some of the persons in the institutions and you ask them and they say, we are not having the amount of power you think we may have. But that is just a cabinet set in a place to make us know that there is a particular existing protocol in this particular domain, meanwhile it is not carrying out its function. If not, why would we have a body like CONAC a body like Consupi in the nation, yet corruption stinks everywhere and people are siphoning income from every nook and cranny, yet nothing is being done. What is the job of these institutions put in place? The judiciary, the legislative, the executive. The judiciary in Cameroon is one part of one institution in the country, one arm of government that is not actually carrying out its responsibility, because I think that department is independent and that department is supposed to be the one to enforce law and order. And if this department cannot enforce law and order, then the laws we have in the nation will not be carried out effectively, because this body that's supposed to enforce law and order, you cannot blame the legislative. Theirs is to make the law. Theirs is to constitute the law. Theirs is to set up the law. But there's somebody has to enforce the law. You will not tell a parliamentarian to go and enforce the law. His own is to make the law.
The ministers pass through the parliament almost every day. They are supposed to check the effectiveness of the implementation of the laws that have been enacted by them.
Yes, of course. These individuals go there for vetting. They go there to present what they have as a project for the year. The parliament vets what they have presented. If the job is not yet done, the parliament is not the one to go and enforce this law on the ground. The parliament sets the law. The judiciary is the one that enforces the law. That's why you call police officers law enforcement officers. You call gendarmes law enforcement officers. You call state councils and the rest law enforcement officers. So if at all the legislative is doing its job to set up the laws on ground, then the judiciary is supposed to be independent enough to call the respective body to enforce the law. The problem we have actually is the fact that these bodies are first and foremost not independent. If they were really independent, then automatically they would have been able to carry out their duties effectively. I was going through the vetting of John Dumelo, the former Ghanaian actor, who is now the Deputy Minister of Agriculture. He was brought to the parliament. The chairman of the parliament was vetting him, and they were asking all the details concerning his life. But unfortunately, you cannot find that in all parliaments in the world. Many persons go to the parliament just to go and submit what they think they can do, and they are never called into order to exact or to check exactly what they have done so far and then to come back with results. Why should we only come to defend budget and we cannot come back to give account for the budget?
Okay, cannot come back to give account for the budget. Some persons have sent questions, which I will ask you directly. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening. Ngala is writing from Bomenda. Ngala says, does Dr. Ambe has a plan to form a coalition with all the independent candidates?
Yes, like I said lastly, on the last time on this platform, that I'm willing to join force with any other person who is willing for a coalition. As a matter of fact, I have been singing for a coalition in the opposition bloc for a very long time. As a matter of fact, as the days are going by, many people are getting disappointed with the fact that the opposition cannot come under a coalition to form a common front to see how they can face the party in power. This disappointment is making some people create independent candidacy as well as individuals joining the ruling party. And the more they delay, the more dangerous things get ahead as we move close to the elections.
Okay, so you are open for a coalition?
Of course.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Special greetings to Dr. Apostle Ambe, our able president-to-be. Please ask him to tell us how he's going to solve the problems of teachers who are constantly striking. Secondly, how is he going to put an end to the Anglophone crisis immediately when he steps to power?
As for teachers in our country, we people have gone through a lot in this nation, and we understand your plight. Teachers should listen to me today. The standard of teachers, who are the foundation of every other intellectual in this nation, should be upgraded. I do not say I do not say we will. I say it should be upgraded. That has to do with their salary. For instance, there is a standard of education in Singapore. A secondary school teacher may earn at least $58,000 per annum. That's about £44,000. While a primary school teacher may earn about $36,000 per annum. That's the standard of their salary. Do you know that the secondary school teacher who earns higher does not pay the same tax with the primary school teacher? The secondary school teacher pays 11.5% as tax. The primary school teacher pays 7%. You cannot take people who have different salary standard and ask them to pay the same tax. It is absolutely not possible. We cannot put the same tax rate for all institutions and equally all businesses. There are businesses that will pay tax according to their capacity, and they will also pay tax according to their income. But you cannot put a standard TVA of 19.25 for him that has a business of 1 million and for him that has a business of 100 million. I think the tax rate should be. So teachers' salaries should be increased. Number two, their taxes should be reduced so that they can be able to enjoy the possibilities that they have as teachers in that domain. We must also set up very good infrastructure for teachers in the nation. This has to do with the private sector, and it has to do with the state, the public sector. The private sector, we are going to make sure that private school owners do not pay teachers below a certain rate. That will be a standard for the nation. Meanwhile, the state will have to upgrade the salary of civil servants and also reduce the salary of some lawmakers.
Okay.
As for the Anglophone crisis, the Anglophone crisis is not a regional crisis. It is not an economic crisis. It is not a military crisis. So trying to solve it regionally will not solve any problem. Try to solve it economically, it will not solve. Try to solve it militarily, it will not. The Anglophone problem, I repeat, is a constitutional problem. It has to do with a touch in the constitution that affected the psychology of the people. So two things are in place here. Number one, constitutional and psychological problem. If we can adjust it constitutionally, it can also be adjusted psychologically. For instance, if an Anglophone enters into an office and is not given a job, he may think that that denial is just for Anglophones. It occurs to those who are from the East. It occurs to those who are from the West. It occurs to those who are from Littoral. The problem is because of certain things that occur, that pass through the constitution, we now take things that happen to almost every other Cameroonian and make it look like it happens only to Anglophones. I have met people from the East who are disappointed. I've met from the West who are disappointed. I've met people from disappointed Littoral who are disappointed. I have met people from the North who are disappointed.
Hello, Mary.
Hello, Ma.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you, my dear?
Fine, Ma.
How is my in-law? And my grandchildren?
They are all fine, Ma.
And your mother-in-law? And your neighbor? Have you finally reconciled?
We did, Ma.
Let peace reign, my dear.
Jesus!
God will make that nothing bad happen to you, my
Amen,
dear. He
Ma.
will bless you with lot of money.
Amen.
Anyways, your cousin B is finally getting married.
Wow.
The introduction is on Friday at Fonta Street. Bye.
Bye, Ma.
So all this was just to tell me that B is getting married. Mama has discovered the call bonus code. With Orange Bonus, enjoy cheap calls to all networks at the same price.
Where we find ourselves at the fourth position. So this constitutional disorder is what has caused them to feel like they are treated as the least in the nation. Meanwhile, what happens to them happens to every other Cameroonian. So we will go back to the constitution, adjust this constitution to a place where even the minority can rise to power without necessarily passing through the ballot box. That is now the state, the form of the state we are going to establish, which is going to be a 10-state federation with the office of a vice president. By so doing, the constitution will give the vice president the opportunity to ascend the throne of leadership in case of incapacitation or the demise of the president in power. By so doing, you will not need the ballot box anymore, which happens to be a disadvantage to you to mount to the respective or the high office of the nation. When the constitutional adjustment is made, every Anglophone will feel belonging and know that this nation is theirs. By so doing, the terrifying, intimidating, and horrifying anger vented on what they think is not wrong with them will be pacified and things will fall in place. That's my approach to it. I don't know about other people's approach.
Yes, when you say you are open for a coalition, are you ready to step down if they, how would the selection process go to have a candidate amongst you people who are vying for the top job?
A man who has running stomach everywhere is toilet.
Okay.
If at all there is tension and we need a change in this nation, I don't think being a flag bearer should be my priority.
Okay.
The necessity is the good of the nation, not my good. If I'm so desperate about being the flag bearer, it means I'm looking for a position. I'm not looking for a change in the nation. If I thought with my popularity, my followership, my influence, any party that will bring a change in this country want me to work in coalition with them, even as a campaign manager, I will gladly accept the responsibility. If they turn out to put me as the flag bearer, I will accept the responsibility. My problem is that we need a change. We need a change, and this change is not something that can be done in a very careless way. We have to be calculative, we have to be deliberate, we have to be strategic, and it should be a selfless act. It shouldn't be full of selfishness, it shouldn't be full of pride, it shouldn't be of whatsoever. I have studied a lot of coalitions in countries. Sometimes the most popular persons are not the best leaders. So that popularity is a very fundamental requirement because it pulls the masses. That you might not be the one to be at the forefront. Will you be humble enough to sit under somebody who is not as popular as you are, but he has a skill? Because there are people who are smart in public and they can easily call following around them. But there are people who are very humble and quiet, but they have the leadership capacity that can drive people to their fulfilled destinies. So are we willing to really drop down from our high horses and be humble enough to accept the fact that all of us desperately need a change? It is on that platform and on that foundation which I build my philosophy that a man that needs change will definitely not be looking for where the change will come from, but how the change will come.
Okay, somebody is asking that when you look across the African continent, you look at leadership across the African continent, there is something that is now currently being done as far as the Burkina Faso is concerned, though it is under a military leadership. Do you admire what is happening there, and where else do you draw inspiration from as examples of good African leadership?
Yes, I admire what's in Burkina Faso. It's the approach to power which I do not admire. I don't believe in coup d'etats, but the manifestation of leadership by Ibrahim Traoré, putting the people first, is good leadership. His priority is to see every Burkinabe succeed. That is the sign of good leadership. It's true we may not admire the way he got to power, but he's shown beyond reasonable doubt that the way to power is not as important as being in power. Almost everything he's doing right now is making us forget the anger we had with the way he came to power, because he is in power and is making use of the power positively to affect the lives of people positively. I also admire the leader of Botswana, the successful leadership of Botswana leaders. As a matter of fact, from their first president now to the person who is there, I think Botswana is a role model. Mauritius are countries in Africa that we also can learn from them because they set up a structure that focuses on the interests of their people and the well-being of the nation. This newly elected president of Namibia, the lady Ndaitao, is also, from the first day in power, is giving us the impression that she's more interested in the well-being of Namibians than any other superpower. I think it's high time we forgot the issue of trading the well-being of our people and then pushing them to step into the place of their comfort, because they are the citizens of that country who have the rights to benefit all the privileges the country has to offer. Like Donald Trump will say, Americans first. Like Omar Bongo will say, Gabon d'abord. Apostle Dr. Ambe Valetine says, Cameroonians d'abord.
Okay. Now, there is a situation, dire situation of project realization in Cameroon. So many contracts are awarded. We see them under construction, but most do not go to completion, and even the nature of realization sometimes are questionable. How do you plan to make sure that these projects are fully followed up to ensure quality execution?
Yes, an economy that expects cannot succeed than an economy that inspects. Most leaders expect projects to be accomplished. A good leader inspects and makes sure projects are accomplished. The deficiency we have is that we have a lot of leaders who are expecting projects to be fulfilled in their countries. The few leaders I've seen in my little walk on this earth are the people who always step down to the field to make sure the projects are accomplished at every given stage. I think if a project is presented to a president, it has stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. The president should not go there when they are dedicating. Most presidents go when they are inaugurating, when they are dedicating, or when they are officially opening the complex, which is an error of monumental proportion. If a project is presented for the president, when the first stage is done, it's supposed to be an inspection. So most leaders expect from the people that are assigned to accomplish projects rather than inspecting. I used to be in Limbe some years ago. There was one of these, the first lady she used to build schools, these Serac schools. She gave this project for the authorities down there to build. This guy mismanaged the funds, and when the head that the first lady was to visit Limbe, Mr. Leo, within 1 week, that structure was put in place. That taught me a very serious lesson, that if we have presidents who are inspectors, not expectors in quotes, then we will have projects accomplished in this nation and every other African nation. That's why you see Thomas Sankara took a very short time and accomplished so much in Burkina Faso, because he was constantly in the field to make sure that the job is executed. I don't think we are too old enough to just step down and find out if something is done. We have all the facilities, we have all the luxuries, we have all the security to just step down to check if something is accomplished. So I think a president should not visit a project when he's going to dedicate it, inaugurate it, or to officially open the place. He should go there when stage 1 is finished, stage 2, stage 3, so that he makes sure that the project is executed to the latter end.
Okay. We import a lot, especially food, into Cameroon. Cameroon is a virgin land.
Yes.
When we talk of agriculture, we have a large expanse of land, thousands and thousands of hectares. Are you comfortable that as an African agricultural country, we are importing so much?
So disappointing, Mr. Liu. This is one of the major industries in our nation that can create jobs for at least 5 million Cameroonians. I have the capacity to use the agri sector in Cameroon to create 6 million jobs. This is because our education has a serious problem with the orientation. We have been taught to produce what we do not consume.
Okay.
I'm going to be saying some things that will frighten Cameroonians today. We are going to be cutting down cocoa trees, cutting down coffee trees, and planting the things we consume. They told us in primary school that cocoa is cash crop, coffee is cash crop. But we have realized at the end of the day that cocoa is not the cash crop of Cameroon. Cocoa may be the cash crop of Swiss. Coffee may be the cash crop of England. But cocoa is not a cash crop of Cameroon. Cameroon may have the capacity to cultivate and produce cocoa, but Cameroon does not consume cocoa. We produce what we do not consume. And I think the growth of every economy is when the people produce what they consume. That's what we call gross domestic productivity. Gross domestic productivity. A research carried out recently shows that cassava has at least 300 different products out of it. If at all you want to plant a farm of cocoa, it will take at least 4 to 5 years, or the hybrid may take 3 years. By the time you are able to harvest your cocoa, you will realize that those of us who produce at the primary stage of production are the least beneficiaries of the same product we produce. This production chain begins from the primary, the secondary, and tertiary. Cameroon is not involved in the secondary and the tertiary stage where the reproduction is found. We are at the primary stage. By so doing, most of the cocoa farmers you move around this nation, cocoa farmers are the ones who are always indebted before there's cocoa harvest. The cocoa farmers are the ones who make nothing. Those who never enter into a farm or cultivate a tree of cocoa are the ones who are making the billions out of it. Now, coming back to us, how many Cameroonians consume cocoa products per annum? But all of us consume cassava almost every day, from bobolo to myondo to watafufu to gari to motumba to starch to ethanol that can come from cassava. You will realize that from Cameroon to Chad to Equatorial Guinea to Ghana to Kenya to Uganda to South Africa, people consume cassava products. So they told you that cocoa was cash crop because it produces cash. But my finding has shown recently that cassava produces more cash. By the time your cocoa is getting ready after 4 years, I've harvested around 10 times harvest of cassava before your 4 years of cocoa. So the danger is this. this cassava production and other basic crops, their price are not determined in the world market.
We have maize that
I'm just dealing with cassava now.
Okay.
I tell you. Do you know that these guys knew that they will use cocoa? They took the price of cocoa in the world market, but there is no price of cassava in the world market. How can we be producing something that somebody else determines the price? The things we produce here that we are the one determining the price. There is no international market price for cassava. There is no world market price for plantain. There is no world market price for cocoa. Our cocoyam, which was normally called Igbo cocoa, was destroyed in this nation to open the market for rice, because Igbo cocoa is rice in solid form. We went to primary school and we ate rice as a delicacy. Rice in this nation, in those days, we ate it once in a while. There was no market for rice in this nation. But the time Igbo cocoa died, it opened up the space for rice to gain space in this market. I think it's high time we went back to the things that we consume. And it's so funny enough that the things we are struggling to go and sell out there are the things that are supposed to produce and come back here. The greatest market of all these guys is in Africa. And we are now carrying things to go and sell out. Why will you produce cocoa to go and sell in Switzerland when they will produce that cocoa and come and sell back here? It's important. Either we produce the cocoa and process it here, or since we don't have control over the price of cocoa here, let's produce what we have the control of price here. Cassava's price has never fallen in the world market. I grew from primary school, Gary was 10 francs a cup. Now Gary is 150 francs a cup, which means Gary is always appreciating. But cocoa keeps rising and falling like yeast. Cocoa, in addition to that, has risen as per the farmers now. They say it's 4,000 per kilogram. But I tell you, in 2 years' time, cocoa may fall to 700. There's going to be a balance at the international level of all what they gave you as 4,000, they will consume it back as a 700. There is no world market price for cassava, for plantain, for corn, for sweet potatoes. I mean, a lot of things are in my heart when it comes to the agri sector, which we cannot even exploit as far as this broadcast is concerned today.
Okay. Someone is asking how you're going to curb inertia, which has to, I know you understand what this is all about. The President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, raised this issue in one of his end-of-year addresses to the nation, where he's asking why there was so much inertia. You just need to take a walk through some of the offices in Cameroon, both in the private and public service. People go to work maybe late and very early to leave. To move documents from one stage to the other, it takes forever. Even the implementation of realization of projects, it takes forever. Lots and lots of things are very slow.
Like I said, the principle that applies to one applies for all. An how do I put it? An inspection economy is better than an expectation economy. Let me put it that way. If at all we do not inspect, from work to projects to structures to every vision we have for the nation, if there is no team on ground to inspect activities, let me tell you, it will cost you more to allow projects unaccomplished than paying a team of people just to go and inspect. I repeat, it will cost us more for projects not to be accomplished than to pay a team of people whose job is just to inspect. That people come to offices on time, people go to accomplish projects completely, people accomplish projects, people engage visions, and people fulfill assignments given to them. That is why I said any country that does not have agencies that enforce the law, we will just have a bunch of laws without the rule of law. If at all there is no rule of law, we will be in trouble. Individuals shall become the law. And that's the reason why somebody can drive on the highway without documents, and you want to talk to him and say, my father is a governor. That is somebody becoming the law. Nobody is the law. Because there is no rule of law, individuals have become the law. These people who go to work late, these people who don't accomplish tasks in offices, it's a problem. One other thing that can expedite the process of documents is when we digitize the economy. where machines will be doing faster than what humans can do. It's the analog system put in place that makes things delay. If a project, if a document is to go through a process, if it is ID card like what they are doing now, that's the digitized system. You work it online, not like in the past. And meanwhile, with the development of the ID cards right now, it's even somehow still slow because the meeting points for ID cards to be done are limited. I grew up some years ago. We used to do ID cards in the neighborhood police station. You would just walk there. They will give you that brown O card in those days and take your passport size photograph, paste on it, and then you have an ID card. But it's not the same. We have to decentralize the system in a way that individuals can walk in the nearby police station and they are able to get their ID cards. If we don't digitize the system like this, we leave everything done in the hand of man. You will need to pay 1,000 francs for one document to leave an office to another. By the time the document wants to go through 10 hands, if it passes through 10 machines, you will not have anybody there. For instance, if you travel to a place like France, you don't see anybody standing somewhere at the toll gate to collect money. No, it's your card you put there. The money falls at the central system. It is because human beings are on the path of fulfilling documents. That's the reason why things delay. And people will always use their offices to siphon money out of post pocket. But if at all digitize the economy where activities run through machines to the final bus stop, you just go there and to put on your signature and then you come out, it will be far more better. You go to the train station in the UK, nobody is there to collect money from you. You're just there to put your card and then you enter. The flight, the train is carried from. Even the driver does not have access to your kobo. I entered trains in the UK where no driver was on the steering. The train carried us because it was controlled from the central system to our respective destination. Nobody asked us money. With a digitized system, you will not have documents go from one hand to another before you go through this person to this person. That inertia is the reason.
Yeah, but many persons have written, I would not want to write, at least 5 persons are asking whether you trust the electoral system. How do you make people to believe that they need to use a LECAM to put you or any other person in power?
You see, this is a very fundamental question Mr. Louis is asking because I have gone through the field and I can tell you 80% of Cameroonians are suffering from voters' apathy. And this is because most of them believe that ELECAM is not trusted, the Constitutional Council is not trusted, and those who are managing the system, they are not trusted. I can understand their plight. This is because of the kind of picture that was projected to them. This picture that came to them was a result of their laxity also. I'm telling you, I met somebody who said, I like you, I want you to become president, and I asked him, do you have a voter's card? He said, doesn't. I met 4 young men today in a salon where I was shaving my hair. And these young guys say, hey, Apostle, we are happy to see you. And then I said, they say, we hear that you want to become president. I say, yes. I say, do you have your voter's card? They say, now how did they vote? That's the question. It means they have never voted and they don't even know the process of voting. If you say you don't trust ELECAM, how will you know how ELECAM works if it's not based on the information they gave you? Why don't you go and register and then vote and see the outcome of that vote before you can authenticate if ELECAM is real or fake? People have bad names because of what people call them, not because of who they are. You saw, some of you must have come across a video of one aged person who gave me names I cannot even identify with. Many persons who have not heard my part of the story may assume that what he said is the truth. Why do we live on assumption in Cameroon? If at all the electoral process is not in order, who do you expect to change the electoral process? It's the citizens of the country. It is the electorate. You call it electoral process. It is meant to be changed by the electorate. Electorates. Electorates are you people who are watching this program right now asking the same question. So the electoral process can only be changed by the electorate. So I think it's important for us first and foremost to register as citizens, which is our civic right. You don't need to be in the political party before you register, and then get your voter's card. By the time you start voting, you will start see the need and the essence of defending that vote. That is why you can now start agitating that the electoral process will be put in place. But you cannot sit in the confines of your room. You have not registered at all. You don't have a voter's card. You are not making any attempt of stepping or changing the game Yet you just assume that, oh, what they told us is the truth. What they told us is the truth. I don't believe in us sitting at the end and making assumptions. Just like persons have gotten to me and said, are you sure that you can win elections in Cameroon? Anybody can win elections in Cameroon. Some will tell you, is it possible they will not kill you? Do we have animals in this nation that will just catch you and kill you because you want to become president? I think it's the right of every citizen to aspire for the high office of the nation. It mustn't be that you must win, but at least you are tempted because you saw a need and you are trying to take a lead. But we cannot fold our arms and sit and just expect manna to fall from heaven. Gone are those days where manna fell from heaven for the Israelites in the wilderness. We are in a time where labor is needed to get any job done.
Okay. Our system of education, lots of questions so surrounding the effectiveness or efficiency of our graduates. Where do you see as a problem?
Yes, the problem we have is that we teach what is not in the market.
Okay.
Education is a product that you carry to the market. And if you carry what is not demanded, you may think you are not needed. These categories of persons fall under the unemployable. People who have qualifications that are not in the market. People who have qualifications that are not demanded. There are three categories. The underemployed. Underemployed are people who are employed below their skill and below the salary given to them is below their qualification. There are the unemployed. Unemployed are people who have the skill but they don't have the job. They will have the unemployable. These are people who are either mothers who didn't go to school. These are persons also who did not go to school, who do not have any qualification and have no skill. These are, I'm telling you that a greater population of our society today constitute this group of people who are unemployable. I'm not talking about underemployed or unemployed. I'm talking about unemployable. What have nations done to solve this problem? These are people, like I read them. Another group of persons is these disabled people. They are mostly despised in the community, but we have very brilliant disabled people. We have people who also fall in the class of albinos. Because of their color, they are deprived certain privileges and opportunities in the society. These are the unemployable. How do we solve this problem? I have written a whole course on that, which is part of what I've written in my manifesto. So please, because we are not permitted to bring out the manifesto right now, I will not get into those details. But I can tell you there are things in this nation that can create 5 million jobs. Every nation, in every region in this nation has its uniqueness. Yes, if you go to Nigeria, they will call Benue State bread basket. You go to this one, they will say, this is the state for this. This Cameroon has particular states with particular uniqueness. And talking about regional balance, we're going to get into that. Just like a grown-up church will finance the rise of a young church. That's the same thing. The well-established departments of the nation will help to strengthen those who are weak.
Okay.
There are also ministries that are not producing any income. These ministries are just there to execute assignments. They don't generate income. You can't compare this ministry with the ministry that generate income. There's going to be that balance.
Okay. Some persons also are writing to ask whether you receive an express call or direction from God to go in for elections. We know what people think out there. Were you divinely directed to run for presidency?
This is because I'm a pastor. That's why they are asking this question. They have not asked this question to Cabral Libi. They have not asked it to Honorable O.C. Joshua. They have not asked it to Maurice Kanto. They are asking because I'm a pastor and because I'm an apostle of God, and they want me to hear from God in heaven before I take a step. Daniel found himself in Babylon in slavery. He was arrested in slavery, and in that land he saw a need. Who told Daniel to start interpreting the dream of the king? It was because Daniel was at a fix. They said, whoever does not interpret this dream, the person will be killed. You have to know the dream and then interpret it. At the corner where he found himself, he was at a tight corner. He had to start looking for solution. We are at a tight corner in this nation. And as somebody who has seen this nation front and back, I think it's time for me to offer what I think. I saw a need, therefore I'm taking a lead. I know we are too fanatical as believers to always want to hear a big call from heaven that says, my son, it's the time for you to arise in this nation. the circumstances surrounding you and where you find yourself are enough cause for God to engage you into something what or meaningful.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I want to ask Apostle Ambe, what is his measure to ensure balanced regional development and equality in the nation? Silas is watching us from Jumbe.
Balanced regional development, like I said earlier, there are some regions in this country that are more privileged than other regions. Let me give you a little anecdote. In some churches, you will see that some churches have branches that are flourishing than some other branches. The branches that are flourishing are the ones that strengthen the weaker branches. So the regional balance in terms of the sharing of regional budget will not be the same. The regions that have developed about 70% will not have the same regional amount budget like those who have developed 40%, because we want all the regions to develop in the same capacity so that there will be no discrimination amongst them. So the regional budget per annum will be based on the infrastructural, agricultural, industrial, as well as other developments. We will rate them according to pollings. When we put these ratings, it will give us now where we can allocate more budget and make sure that those regions grow to the level of the other regions in order not to create discrimination. This is because Cameroon is Cameroon. Cameroon is not a region. It's when we bring this regional thing that brings discrimination, that brings division, that brings strife and bitterness against each other. But if you look at it as Cameroon, it will be Cameroon. If you go to America, America has 50 states. You may hardly find out which state is more beautiful than the other. This is because these states equally grow. Gradually, they grow as a nation. They don't grow as a region. This strife between these the Tontinas, the Sardinas, is because we are seeing regions, we are not seeing Cameroon. So regions should be allocated budget based on their growth, so that the other who have not grown to their level should match up to their level. At least you yourself will be convinced that this person is also going to become part of me, because it is the well-being of the nation we are looking at, not the well-being of a region. I should not sit and think that Marwa should be more beautiful than Limbe, or Ebolowa should be more beautiful than Betua. This is Cameroon. We cannot be celebrating.
On our continent, we know ourselves. Everyone has something they like doing with their connection. There are those who prefer downloading heavy files. Then, those who are really influencers on social media. There are those gaming champions who make the best world records from their homes. And those who will always show off their food. Not forgetting those who spend hours listening to latest Mboa hits. For all that, they choose Orange's Super 4G network. That is why we've been here for 25 years. Me and all the teams working all over the country. Nana is here. Orange is here.
Pay your taxes and custom fees at Express Exchange. The solution is close to you. Enter an Express Exchange agency, head to the cash register with your tax notice, and make your payment of tax and custom fees with ease. Receive a confirmation receipt. So cool, Mula. Yes, Mula. From now on, I pay my taxes and custom fees at Express Exchange. It's simple. Express Exchange, partner of the Guild and the Directorate General of Taxation. Express Exchange, #1 in quality service in Cameroon.
It takes. So we're working on that.
Okay, you're working on that. But are you? How can those who may want to represent you across the nation? How can they get to you?
They can reach out to me through my phone number.
Okay.
They can reach out to me through my phone number. I can give them my PA's phone number, and then my PA can reach out to them.
Okay. So if you are interested in joining what the project is working on, please, you can get either to me after the program, or you get to Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine Gua, so that he gives direction on how you can work together. Good evening, Mr. Liu. How will Dr. Apostle Ambe go out about to fight this phenomenon of hate language, of how Anglophones are being treated as foreigners in Cameroon? I'm sure you talked about that already, that
yes.
It is a constitutional issue, because Anyway, yes, just ask. Give it.
Yes, the hate speech among Cameroonians has not met with the arm of the law. I don't think one Cameroonian is more better than another Cameroonian. We insult ourselves, we fight ourselves. We are supposed to bring all our resources, human, financial, and every energy to build this nation, because we need to leave a legacy for the next generation. I don't think it's time for us to be fighting ourselves. Somebody said racism is discrimination against a kind, while tribalism is discrimination within a kind. Those are two dangerous words, racism and tribalism. This discrimination within a crime is where the problem is. Within a kind, I beg your pardon, is where the problem is. If we discriminate among ourselves, we can never succeed. We can never succeed. Because if we really want to succeed as Cameroonians, we should bury the hatchets and the bitterness we have against each other. And we must fight hate speech. Thank God there's a convention fighting that. But I think more energy should be put in that to make sure that we fight hate speech from the social media platforms, hate speech from schools, hate speech on mainstream medias. We have to set up bodies on ground that will bring people to book that fight against each other. If somebody from South is not better than somebody from Southwest, somebody from South is not better than somebody from Northwest, somebody from North is better than somebody from Adamawa. This is a territory called Cameroon. And in this territory called Cameroon, all Cameroonians are privileged. All Cameroonians are privileged to enjoy the rights of this land. And I think every Cameroonian has the right to settle in this country and to enjoy everything that this nation offers. Some people are no more Cameroonian than others. And I think it's important for us to make sure that we fight this issue of hate speech by creating so much sensitization. Because I said one time that people react on what they hear. So we must make sure we control the airspace, what is divulged as information to our youth. We saw the genocide in Rwanda. It was just a simple statement over a radio station that sparked off that kind of atrocity that took place in that nation. So I think it's important for us to engage strong measures to fight against hate speech. Why we should do that in our schools, universities, secondary schools, primary schools. We should also engage it on mainstream medias to talk against these things that people don't want to see each other, and the how do I put it, the brand individuals with certain appellations and certain descriptions that they do not merit. So that's something we need to fight seriously. We need to fight seriously as a nation.
Okay, we need to fight seriously as a nation. Some persons are asking about the form of state that can better serve Cameroon, and if there is need for Cameroon to have a national language away from the existing English and French. Or in addition,
the form of state that I think for Cameroon is a 10-state federation.
Okay.
With the office of a vice president. We have to scrape out structures that have been put in. There are a lot of structures in this nation that are not needed. Yes, we have to scrape out some of those structures. For instance, the 10-state federation will give each state to elect a governor and decentralize power right to the local level, where people can exercise their privileges in particular locations. I think that it will be easier for people to develop states than just to develop a particular region. Now, if we give responsibilities to governors and give them a tenure of 4 years in office, renewable ones, I think every governor that comes or want to do something substantial, you may want to say, oh, there are other nations practicing federalism and they have not grown to the extent that we expected. To be sincere, I don't think there's any country that is practicing federalism that this nation, Cameroon, is better than, as compared to Ethiopia, to Nigeria, to Tanzania. Please, let's know that they might not have grown as a first world nation, but those states that are controlled by governors, managed by local authorities, and power is given to the people, it will be easier for those nations to grow faster. The constitution will be revamped, and the office of the vice president shall be created. And since we have 2 different extracts, one is president, the other is vice president, by so doing, it will be a place of sharing of power. That was what reduced the tension between Morgan Tsvangirai and Robert Gabriel Mugabe in Zimbabwe. Power sharing. Okay. Some of you are asking that you want to assist Dr. Apostle Ambe in what he's doing to work with him. I'm sure he's going to share his number and possibly direct on what, where, how, and
when you can get to him. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm David watching from Kum. I love the program so much. I wish to get Dr. Ambe's number. Dr. Ambe, I'm sure you should rather just create a group, a WhatsApp group, so that those who are going to, you can create a WhatsApp group, you send it to me. Okay. Those who are interested, I will send the link to them for them to join. You can do that straight away. But what about the national language, Dr. Apostle Ambe?
Yes, for the national language in our nation, you see, we've grown with two languages, English and French. To be sincere, Mr. Leo, the demography of Cameroon is very complex because we have about 200 plus tribes in this country and their languages do not tie. So which of the languages do you want to select amongst all these 250 plus languages to be used as a national language? That's the problem. Because if you come to the littoral, you go to the northwest, even within the northwest, you will see different languages. You go within the east, different languages. You go the center, different languages. So which of the languages do we think? Now, somebody said one of the languages most spoken in Cameroon is Fufude, which covers the 3 Grand North. We could make it a national language. It's a good idea, quite all right, to make Fufude a national language. But it's going to take us sufficient time to adopt and to adapt to that new language as a nation. It's what Paul Kagame did. He decided to make English and French business languages and then adopted Kiswahili as a national language. If you land at the Rwanda International Airport, what you see there as writing is in Kiswahili. There's nothing there in French, nothing in English. So you do French and English as business languages. So if we could adopt Fufude as a national language, or even the Douala language as a national language, it will make some sense.
Okay. Good evening. I wish to ask Dr. Ambe how he intends to make our educational system more productive. Boris is writing from Carrefour Ajib. I'm sure you talked about that already.
Yes.
You are going to focus on the subjects.
Yes, yes, the subjects that sell. For instance, if you look at the Singaporean civil education, before they rose to prominence, they engaged science, they engaged mathematics, they engaged reading as core courses in their educational system. And then also they engage into a lot of vocational training, where individuals who have already gone past age could still catch up with 2 years training in a vocational center. And now, if you look at it critically, most of our mechanics that learned mechanic around the 90s, the 2000s, cannot fix 2025 vehicles because the technology is evolving every day and everything is improving. So if we set up vocational centers that can always refurbish or recycle a mechanic who learned mechanics in 2002, now in 2025, the cars that are coming in Cameroon are not the same. For instance, somebody who learned petrol engine will not be able to manage electric engine. So why don't we set up vocational centers where these electricians or these mechanics who learned this system of mechanism, and there's an evolving procedure in the place of vehicles of the 2025, we can now send them go back to those vocational centers to go and upgrade themselves and come back to be relevant in the present market. Because if you look at it critically, Mr. Leo, there are jobs that are losing their shine and sheen in this 21st century because of the involvement of technology. Somebody who studied some things some years past will not be relevant at this particular time again. Just imagine somebody who studied shorthand and typewriting on a typewriter machine. Would that person be needed in this generation? Because we're in a jet age where things are evolving very fast. So I think that we have to set up vocational centers where people can always upgrade themselves to catch up with the evolvement of technology. That is the reason why vocational training is going to be a fundamental requirement when it comes to my government.
Okay, it's going to be very fundamental that vocational training centers are opened across Cameroon. But there is also this issue of certification, where almost everybody wants to have a master's degree, a PhD. You see what is happening. Are you concerned also that PhDs have to take on the street to strike because they need jobs?
Mr. Lo, I'll have to be in Yaoundé, I think, around the month of May. A group of researchers from Germany, there's professors, PhD holders, they've invited me to speak in a conference on the cooperality between entrepreneurship and research. I've done my homework very well. Statistics has proven that most of people who are academically up are broke in quotes. And those guys who took all their years studying, at the end of the day got the result of study, which is certificate. And all the guys who took all their years investing in business, at the end of the day got what is money. For instance, somebody who spends 15 years in business is more smart than somebody who spends 15 years studying business management. That's why you see in the business terrain, you will find out that most of the persons who have the biggest businesses are people who have not gone to school. Because the years you were taking to obtain a PhD, they took that number of years also to do business. Fosso Victor, Kajide Fosso, Ngepi, Kiferu. These are persons who have spent 20, 30 years. And you realize that, why is it so? This is because everything you give your energy to, you give your attention to, is what you will get in return. Since you studied papers, you wrote notes, you used ink and pen, at the end of the day you will get a paper. If somebody started selling cola nut, later on move to ice cream, later on move to start making books, later on establish a car company, at the end of the day he will get money. Because the years you were using to invest in paper, he was using to generate income. And this is the problem. Now, where do we bridge now the researchers and entrepreneurship? If somebody is doing like agriculture in university, your defense or your dissertation should not be a pamphlet that you will write tomorrow and bring and say, this is my defense, this is my project. This project should be you using the agricultural skill to cultivate at least 4 hectares of tomatoes. We will come to the field. That means do your theory and you are done. When it comes to your defense, take that knowledge, go to the field. You will discover that by the time you are graduating from first degree to master's degree, you have a farm. Your degree has produced a business. That's a bridge, the gap we are creating between entrepreneurship and research. So we now make education in such a way that it is more of a practical thing than theory. So our educational system, if you are going to master's degree, we say, okay, now that you are going to master's, you're going to set 5 farms of cucumber. That's your defense. We come back and check and see how productive you have used the agricultural skill you acquired in school to produce 5 farms. By the time somebody has 3 hectares of tomato and 5 hectares of cucumber, having master's degree, the education he learned in school has made him an entrepreneur along the line. Yeah, but by the time he's earning a PhD,
but there's going to be a problem. Where do they get the money to invest in farm? Acquiring lands also is a problem.
We don't have a problem with land. That's the reason why education in this nation is supposed to go along with sponsorship. When it comes to project, that is when the state has to engage into the sponsorship of the people. We have to put budget in sponsorship to make people go practical rather than just writing notes and bringing back defense projects and giving to us in universities. Yes, if at all they were paying students 50,000 francs a month in the university in those days, why can't we put that budget on the ground and set up a project for the child? By the time he's getting his first degree, we take that budget and we engage it into a project. What does it take? You and I were in a program you organized here once, and somebody was from the Ministry of Agriculture who said he cultivated cucumber in womb and built a house. And he told us that it's 3 months. How much did he take him to set up that little farm of cucumber? He works on the Ministry of Agriculture. He knows that the ministry's money cannot give him the salary he that can manage his family. He had to engage the skill of agriculture by setting up a cucumber farm and also a watermelon farm. In 3 months' time, he was able to raise income to build a house in womb. So how do you explain that?
Okay. So some questions are still coming in from those watching the program. Good evening, Mr. Kum. I would like to have Apostle Dr. Ambe's contact. I'm Chief. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Clifford Amika, watching from Kumba. I totally believe in the vision of Dr. Ambe to become the president of Cameroon. I wish to actively participate in realizing his vision. Please, how can I get to join the work team? Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please ask Dr. Ambe how he intends to solve the Anglophone crisis. When elected, this question keeps coming.
I've answered this question here. Like I said, brother, the Anglophone crisis, we have to know what it is first. If we don't know what it is, we will not be able to know how to solve it. If you don't know what it is, you won't know how to solve it. It is, like I said earlier, not an economic crisis. neither is it a military crisis. It is neither a regional crisis. It is a constitutional crisis that also resorted to a psychological crisis. And if it is handled constitutionally, then psychologically it will be taken care of. And I'm sure if at all you follow this program effectively, probably tomorrow by 1:30 or 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, yeah.
1 o'clock, you will get the full picture of what I presented as a solution to the Anglophone crisis.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and our guest Apostle. How is he going to resolve the problem of land documentation in this country? So many problems with lands here. Do you have, or you're already working with on a project on how to?
Yes, we are working on that. We are working on how to solve land problems in the country. This is because the problem with land in our nation is because of those who are handling the land issues. We have been so flexible with the structure of the land system in our nation that anybody can create a nation and create a village at any time. And because of that, we have a very serious problem with that. We have a structure that, how do I put it? A structure that detects when a land was sold and a land was put in place. There's a gazette. Now people used to have 1, 2, 3, or 4 land titles on the same land. You buy a piece of land, somebody brings a land title of 1997, another person brings the same land title in 1992, another somebody brings a land title of 1991, another person brings a land title of 1987. Who actually owns this land amongst all these people? They will tell you the person with the first land title of 1987. Meanwhile, the Gazette has information that this land had land title in 1987, he had land title in 1991, he had land title in 1997, he had land title in 1999. What do we do with this kind of structure? This is because the structure put in place that manages the authenticity of lands is corrupted. If these structures put in place are not corrupted, one land cannot have 5 land titles with different owners. These are some of the things that constitute corruption, which we said we are going to fight corruption tooth and nail to make sure that all individuals who are caught up in the act of corruption, the consequences. Because one of the things I've learned the way they fight corruption in other parts of the world is that the consequences of a crime is more dangerous. For instance, you can pay £2.07 shillings to enter into a train from one place to another. But if you don't pay that money with your card, you enter that train, the penalty is about £80. So you will not like to lose £80 when you don't pay £2.7. That's the consequences. The Minister of Housing in Cambodia committed suicide because he promised building 1,000 houses for the less privileged, and he was able to build only 800 before the appointed time. He said he failed the nation and he knew the consequences. If you see order in China, it's the consequences that people pay for the crime. Somebody who embezzled money in China was sentenced to death. But you see, we pamper a lot of criminals, and the actions and the disciplines meted on people who carry out negative activities in the nation is so mild. That's the reason why crime wave increases. There is no evil that happens in Cameroon that does not happen in other nations. But they have taken very drastic measures to put an end to all this rubbish. This is because the disciplinary council and the structures put in place, they are not executing the assignment. If they are actually executing it, the manifestation of one of that act on an individual will silence or send a message to the rest of the people, even unborn children, to know that if you dare pass this path, your destiny is closed.
Your destiny is closed. We have 10 more minutes to discuss with you and move on to other things for tonight's edition of Prime Hour. Good evening, Apostle. I just want to know if truly you are convinced that elections can be won in Cameroon democratically, even with what is already going on with the civil society, opposition candidates, suspension, detention, harassment.
Yes, elections can be won in Cameroon. You see, politics is number. We have not yet used the secret of numbers in this country. Cameroon is approximately 13 million people. The voting age can be at least 23 or 22 million people. But unfortunately, not up to 10 million Cameroonians vote per year. And that's the reason why you feel like it's impossible to win elections. The year that we will register up to 10, 15 million Cameroonians, you will see how the clock will turn to another direction. Just attempt to register, and when you register, vote. And when you vote, defend your vote. You will know that politics is number. And there's a level where you cannot manipulate numbers. There's a possibility to win elections in Cameroon. You will not abandon the electoral system because the electoral code is not okay. You keep working while you are pressing to see how things get better. But you can't fold your arm and just expect things to change spontaneously. I think when you vote and you discover your vote was stolen, it will give you the hunger and the passion to fight more to see how the voting system is structured and put in a free and fair way.
There is a big issue. Training today, our cities are very nasty and our towns are very disorderly. Is this also a result of indiscipline?
Yes. The rule of law,
okay.
Justice. Anybody who does not, we are talking about this in corruption and injustice and the lack of rule of law. We are just look at those who are at the authority. No, Mr. Liu. The taxi driver who does not respect the red light is as corrupted as a government official that steals 1 million. The person who says no dumping of refuse here and he comes and dump refuse there is the same person that if you put him tomorrow as minister, he will steal 500 million. It is not because they have not had the opportunity to be where those ministers are. They will do the same thing. I think if the law is enforced right to the last person standing, there will be respect in the nation. Do you know we have dustbins or refuse almost everywhere in our streets in Cameroon? But you will ask a minister if he has seen dustbin anywhere, he will tell you that he doesn't know if you are living in the same Yaoundé with him. Because where he's walking, he does not see potholes on road and does not see dustbins anywhere. How sincere are we? I think this corruption has eaten very deep into the fabrics of every Cameroonian, where somebody who stands and see the traffic light is not disciplined. When you discover, when you go out of the country, you see the way law and order operates. Nobody stands on the roadside to control you. The lights speak for themselves. It's when you cross that red light before you will know that light standing as an inanimate object has animate objects behind it controlling it. That's where you talk about order. You cannot be cleaning the top when the bottom is also corrupted. So I think it's important when we talk about refuse dump everywhere. This is because, like I said, we have not provided solutions to this problem, because if you look at it in some nations, debt is a treasure. Yeah. That thing you call debt in the street is what some people use to produce biogas. That thing you call debt in the street is what they use in incinerators to produce electrical energy that sustains industries in particular places in China, Holland, Singapore, Japan. That thing you call debt. We have not yet known the use of some of these things we call debt. That's why they are dumped everywhere. An easy way to clean this nation is to set up incinerators which are going to be used to burn that debt. That debt will generate electricity that can be used in certain communities. Control airfield control incinerators that cannot pollute the atmosphere and cause sicknesses like cancer and the rest. Airfield control incinerators. So debt is a treasure. When we ascend the responsibility of this nation, we will make that debt you call dust or dustbin or call debt, we'll turn it into a treasure, national treasure.
Okay, we'll turn it into national treasure. First three things that you think are very, very imperative to get Cameroon running. What are they?
The first thing on my list is to approach the Anglophone crisis. There is no growth without any security. That's the first thing. Number two, we have to upgrade the energy. If we want industrialization in this country, we must upgrade the energy. If the third thing, we must upgrade the transport system. The means of transport, the transport network, which is not just road transport network. It has to go with rail, it has to go with water, it has to go with air. If these three things are put in place, it will facilitate the movement of a lot of things, and all what you call unemployment, you call instability, you call this and that, on the premise of these three structures put in place, a lot of things will start manifesting speedily, and it will cause, we can solve one problem, we can solve 5 problems by solving one problem.
Okay, we can solve 5 problems by solving, yes,
you can solve 5 problems by solving one problem. Yes.
Okay, and that has to do with curbing corruption. From most of the things you have said, we are going to be ending our discussion with Dr. Apostle Ambe Valetine at this juncture. He has created that WhatsApp already and has sent to me. So if you are interested in assisting at any level to what he is doing, just write to me and I will see how I can link you up to the forum. We are going to be moving on to our next topic for tonight with other panelists. Welcome back. You're watching Prime on my Media Prime TV. This time around, we're going to be talking with members of FATMA who are here in the studio with me. Some of them are here, but we should note that those who are in Bamenda, Mr. Nibapol, as well as Mr. Henry Ona, they are in town in Bamenda for the groundbreaking workshop that they are going to be holding out there to also teach the people of Bamenda on what they have been saying for years now on TV. It is time for you to make use of your digital skills from the knowledge you're going to get from them. They will teach you. So if you have not yet gotten in contact with them, their FATMA number is going to be displayed on our screen so that you can get to them to be part of what is taking place in Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital, tomorrow. Mr. Henry Ona and Nibapola in Bamenda as we speak. But this evening we're going to be looking at a very important topic, can digital marketing help a small business grow? You may be a small tailor or a salt supplier, or I don't know, any small business. Can you also use the digital marketing skills or space to grow your business? We are discussing this with 3 panelists who are with me in the studio. We have Mr. Orok, who is always here. He's here with us. Good evening, Mr. Orok. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and good evening to Nebapol, Enwona, and Liz. Good evening to the people of Bamenda. Fatma is in Bamenda already, so we can't wait to have you guys at the center on Sunday. And while we are here, I think it's going to be the most amazing 1 hour 45 minutes that we're going to have here on an amazing topic as well. So stay with us as we share our ideas on what we know about digital marketing. Mr. Leo.
Okay. Nadine Shankar, a student of FATMA, is also here. Good evening, Nadine.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, televiewers of my Media Prime. Good evening, my dear panelists.
And also with us is Hosa Milian, co-founder and CFO at FATMA. Good evening. Glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, televiewers. It's my pleasure to be here again.
Yes, we're talking about the possibility for digital marketing to grow small businesses. Is it a possibility, or it is reserved for these big guys out there?
No, Mr. Leo. I think when we conceive the idea of running a business, one of the first things we take into consideration is how we want to sell our products. And as we know, we are always looking at avenues where we can meet people at their various places, and digitalization is one of those tools that enables people to meet in a particular place for different reasons, but they can all converge for your own reason if you use the right strategies and the right tools. So I think it's very, very possible for every business person, big, small, medium, everybody can utilize the tools made available for us to sell his or her product or services, Mr. Leo.
Okay, so almost everybody can use digital marketing. How do you use, as a small business owner, how do you effectively use digital marketing to sell?
Okay, I will say as a small business owner, the advantage that you have, first of all, let's talk about digital marketing itself. First of all, we have to understand that digital marketing, those are the marketing effort you use either on a device or on the internet. And we have to understand that the internet is open for everyone, not just for big companies. And as a small business, to effectively use digital marketing to succeed, you need to start small, and you need to be consistent in using digital marketing tools. For example, if you are just starting into digital marketing, you need to start with a strategy. You don't just enter there like that to start saying that, no, I need to go to Facebook, I need to go to social media, I need to go to the internet and post. No, you need to come up with a strategy. What I'm talking about strategy is you define your objectives. What do you want to do on the internet? Are you going there just because you want to be known as a small business, or you want to sell? By knowing your objectives, by knowing to who you want to sell your audience, you'll be able to effectively use digital tools and use the internet in the right way, and you'll be effective there. And also to add, digital marketing is cost effective for small business, unlike traditional marketing where you'll be required to pay more. Whereas with digital marketing, just with your smartphone, just with the internet, you can do a lot of things. You can reach out to many people as possible.
Okay, like I was going to ask how affordable it is to engage digital marketing for small businesses, because the tendency is when you ask somebody to engage marketers, they tell you, I don't have money to give daily for persons to walk around, to sell, to do advertisement, and to announce to other people. How cost effective is it?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leo. It is very cheap. I mean, relatively cheap for small businesses to make it on the digital space. For instance, at first, it was very difficult for us to do affiliate marketing. Very difficult, because you could not go to somebody's shop to get a product, to go and show maybe to your neighbor or your classmates, your colleagues, when you have not paid for that product before the product is leaving that person's shop. But today it's very possible with digital marketing, because I can post a product that I don't even have it at hand. Somebody might get interested. You even pay to the supplier or the producer. I only go collect the product and deliver to you, and I get my commission. In this case, you lose nothing, and at the same time, you needed no capital to carry out that transaction. In the traditional way of the traditional marketing system, you needed to go around to people's houses, maybe to churches, to give information about particular services or products you are having. But now it's no longer the case. You can sit at the comfort of your home. You sell a car in Japan when you don't even have the car in Cameroon. You can sit at the comfort of your home. You work for people out of the country. Yes, you do freelancing without you even being in that country, just with your phone. That is the reason why at Afadma, when you enroll to study digital marketing, at the end of the day, what you even see as it being costly as fees, you paying fees, at the end of the day, in the process of studying, you make times 3 that fees before you even graduate. Because I, for one, I started 2 months ago, but I've already made money that I paid as fees times 2. Because being an affiliate marketer, I've been able to make triple the amount I've paid as fees just by posting products that or posting services I don't have. When somebody gets interested, I go collect, I deliver, and I get my commission. It's as easy as that. So it's going to be so shameful that somebody at this age and time with a smartphone, that you have data, you go on the internet and you're not able to make money. Afatma, it's at the right place to give you these opportunities. You might be seeing them, you see them every day, but you pass over them because you don't know how to go about it. But when you come to Afatma, they actually guide you towards the right path, towards the right things that you might have just thought, no, this is not for me. And you discover that you're making very good money from those areas. Thank you.
Okay, making good money. You say there is money there's a possibility for these small businesses to make money through digital marketing. Where does it start? How do they get to understanding how to take full advantage, maximum profit from this tool and opportunity?
Okay, Mr. Leo, starting from what our student was trying to say, if we want to compare, like we were asking about the cost of marketing in a digital space, if you want to, those who have tried it traditionally will tell you that just running probably an advert on a different media and trying to run it on a different social media or Google media that you can lay your hands on, the price, the pricing is very, very different. Because if in case you are doing it yourself, you are well trained to do it yourself, we are talking of you spending for a small business might be just 2,000 francs in a day. But if you are to pay someone to do it for you, then that cost might triple, or if you are going somewhere else. So for a small business, I think the first conception starts from you trying to brand your business. And branding happens to be one of the problems that we have with small businesses and digitalization, because one, they don't understand the importance of branding before selling, and two, they don't have the necessary tools at hand for their branding. So with all the tools in our possession, with all the enhancements that are actually going on, for a small business to start, the first thing you need is just a smartphone and an internet connection. That's the first thing you need. Understanding or accepting that it is a right path to take is a first decision that you can make as a small business, because I think as a small business, your market is not far away from you. Your market is closer to you. It means that your audience size is smaller, and the budget you need to run your campaigns on that on any media is small as well. So it is very important that we know that we have different platforms that we can sell on. First, we have pricing which are different from different platforms, and it is also important to know that understanding or learning the right strategies to put in place for our marketing is of huge advantage for any business person, be it small or big. And we have been talking a lot on different advantages, on different strategies that we can put in place on how to sell our products, especially for small business owners who are having financial constraints. I think it's very important that we know that our smartphone alone can put us on a level ground with some of the big businesses around us, because like I said, our audiences are small and they are not far away from us, Mr. Leo.
Okay, they are not far from us, but these small businesses, do they also realize that through digital marketing, it is the easiest, most cost-effective way of selling to the wider public, that is expanding your business? Because if you were to do traditional marketing, you talk just to people around you. That is where your client, your clients, that is where they end, right? Around your quarter. But once you acquire this knowledge, you can now sell to somebody. May just place command for cartons of what you will sell in a week, and then you now start doing supplies?
What I would say, Mr. Leo, is that small businesses, they have not yet understood how digital marketing functions. Most, when they embark into it, they don't start the right way, and they are tired later when they don't see results coming. That is why most small business, they'll say, no, digital marketing is not for us. They have this misconception that it's for big companies, corporate companies, that they really they have money. No, I would say for a small business, they should not be discouraged, especially when they start, because the digital world is large, and everyone is on the internet nowadays. You see, everyone is selling. Big companies that they're selling, small size company that they're selling, and now we see small businesses. They'll say, no, if I go there, I will not be able to prevail. I will not be able to succeed because it demands a lot. No, you just have to be consistent, and you just have to do it the right way. That is why in Fatma we show you how you have to go about how to embark into the digital world. We show you the different strategies that you need to use in order to distinguish yourself and in order to even be competitive. Yes, because if we look into the world, if you're a small business and you use the traditional way, you will not be able to compete with the big companies. Whereas in the digital world, it's a free field where whether you are selling but sword, as you first say, whatever you are selling, you are able to compete because you're facing the same customers that these big companies they have. You people are in the same field now, and you don't even need a lot of money, as we said, to do this. You just need to understand how the digital world functions. You just need to have good quality content that you're creating consistently on the internet. You just need to follow up with your audience, following them up, answering their questions, giving them quality information so that they'll be able to trust you. And you have to be consistent. That is the most important thing. You have to be consistent. Don't start and stop halfway. No, the more you're consistent, the more you build trust with your customer, and they trust you, they can easily buy from you. We know very well that when you know somebody, when you know that this person, he knows what he's talking about, you can easily buy from the person, whether it's service or product, or you easily buy from someone you trust. So being in the digital world, you need to be consistent. That is just what is important as a small business. Be consistent. Don't stop halfway. Just go, and one day you see the fruits.
Okay. Now, some persons who are into these petty businesses may be discouraged that you would need to have maybe a PhD, a degree, or some big book to acquire digital skills.
No, with digital, just know English, just know how to write good content. And besides, we have tools now on the internet that facilitate creation of contents that you can easily use to create content. Even if you are not you are not good in English, you just need to have an idea, and then these tools will reproduce that your idea into something that is good. So you don't need to have PhD in Afadma, whether you have O-level, first school living certificate, advanced level. You can come over and we'll guide you on how to start with your digital journey.
Okay. You may not have the time to also attend these classes, but there is need. If you are very busy, there's also need to hire the services of someone who is into digital marketing to also expand your reach. Yeah,
getting a trained and qualified and well-cultured digital marketer is one of the problems that most businesses are complaining about, because the few they have contacted have scammed them. Most of them went with their pages, with their blogs. So I think it is good to get somebody to do it for you, but it is also good to understand what the person is doing, because as freelancers or as digital marketers, we also have our own problems that at times we don't understand where they come from. Probably is because the customer does not understand the work we are doing, and he thinks that the result is just supposed to be immediate, and they don't understand. So why they think we are superhumans that should produce, so we have kept people somewhere that we are going to present their products to, and in the next 5 or 10 minutes they should be reaching out to them. It's good that they understand, even if they are not trained, but they should understand that there is a process that what we are doing needs to go through, and we cannot leave from stage 1 to stage 3 without going to stage 2, and stage 2 is patience. So why it is good to hire somebody to do it for you, it is also good for you to try to understand the work the person is doing, because if you don't understand what you're expecting from that program or from that project, the person might not be able to understand what you want. Because probably you come to me that you need clients, but when I examine your business, I realize that you need more of branding than clients. And when I try to do branding, you tell me I'm incompetent because I'm unable to get you the immediate results that you need, of which the branding is what you need at that point, not actually the clients. And at times the clients also come, but they don't buy. But you don't understand that there is an attribution period that enables people to buy after seeing your product. So there is a lot of complexity involved in what we are talking about. So it is good that as persons who are running businesses and are willing to hire digital marketers or freelancers for whatever project, be it for video editing, graphic design, social media management, it is good to have a basic understanding of the job description that you're giving to the person that you're hiring, Mr. Leo.
Okay, it's nice to give a job description. Now, we know that those with petty businesses, we see them give out stuff to their children to go sell. You, Nkechi, you go this way. You, Mani, you go this way. You, Irene, you go this way. Why not train them, all these kids, on digital skills, so that instead of them hawking around, they can readily reach out to thousands of persons in the day using the phones they are wasting.
Okay, Mr. Leo. It's a privilege that digital marketing has been introduced in our schools in a way that we want that our children, by the time they are graduating, most especially from the universities, they should be graduating with digital skills. But then, for those who find themselves in situations where they already graduated, that this program was not introduced yet in the school milieu, they have opportunities to come to AFADMA. And that notwithstanding, you must not graduate first from school, because this being the 11th batch for AFADMA, there was a certain batch that a 16-year-old girl was a part of it. So to tell you, you must not graduate from the university first before you become a part of AFADMA or you acquiring digital skills. Even as you're small, during holidays, we have a break, is in next week around the 4th of April. You can come and enroll. AFADMA has spaces even for beginners. They have the intermediate level, they have the specialization level. So it's a skill that everyone can acquire, no matter whether you've graduated from the university, whether you're still in school, whether you are a career person, whether you're an entrepreneur or whatever. You can always come to AFADMA. The information you get on your screens, you can always contact them to find out what you need at what time. No matter how busy you are at work, no matter how your schedule is in school, AFADMA can always have a space to accommodate you. They will come to you, they will rescue you from whatever thing you've been going through concerning struggling to mix maybe school work and other things with your skill. Because digital marketing is actually a skill that is a must acquire skill by everybody, as I can see. Because in the days of old, we used to understand that this particular skill is for particular persons, like engineers. Like we usually look at IT people that know they are the kind of people who are supposed to learn digital marketing. But nowadays, digital marketing is for everybody. If you have a child in the house who has started talking, who understands how to use the phone, how to use internet connection, you can send them to AFADMA we will know the exact level to place them and give them what they need, so that by the time they're getting to a particular level, by the time they're graduating from school, they also have a skill that they will be the ones to think of what to do, what jobs they can create for themselves, or what kind of jobs they can go for, because by that time they must have known the exact thing that they really want to do, and that will be best for them. Mr. Leo.
Okay, let's talk. Kelly. Yeah, you want to add?
Yeah, I wanted to say, at Fatma, we have a special program for kids that we do during the summer holidays. So than to be keeping the kids even at home or sending them outside there, exposed in the streets to accident and all the else, they need to start while they are still young, so that by the time they are grown, they can easily even help you in your own business, than to be sending Nkechi, as you said, to the street. Let Nkechi be learning digital marketing while doing the holidays, and at the same time helping you with it during that period. Yeah, the mother may say that, okay, I'm too old, I cannot be learning again, I won't understand. Send your kid to us, they will understand. Their brain are still very wide open, they understand easily. They will be able to understand and even help you in that your business. You know, be sending them outside there in the street and exposing them to all sort of things that can happen.
Okay. What is happening in Bamenda tomorrow, Mr. Rock?
Yes, Mr. Leo, like we, for those who were during the summit last year, the greatest, let me say, the region with the highest population was the Northwest region. So it is wise that Afadma visits the Northwest region with three things in mind. Now, the first thing that Afadma has in mind is social media management. The second one is search marketing, and then the third one is artificial intelligence and how it is enhancing our local marketing and trying to shape the way we understand digital evolution. Now, Afadma is going to Bamenda for 3 persons. We say in digital marketing, everything is in 3. So the first, number 1, are people who have no idea about digitalization. They have no idea, they are curious, they have a lot of questions they want to ask. So on Sunday, 12 p.m. is the best, or is the greatest moment of your life. It should be the greatest moment to get your questions answered. Number 2, people have ideas, they don't know how to put them in place, they don't know how to start, they don't know the right tools to use, they are confused on the approach to take. While number 3, for persons who are already in the field, but they are not happy with their results. So, and they want to improve their results. So on Sunday, it should be at the center to get these questions answered. Don't forget that Afadma has been there. This is the 11th batch. They are launching the 12th batch in a month's time. It means there is a lot that Afadma has learned over the years, and there is a lot of changes Afadma has also experienced, especially in the local market and trying to promote local businesses. So it is good that you make yourself available, either on-site or online. You know, Afadma is always on-site or online. So if you are unable to make it on-site, try to make it online as much as possible and try to stay to the end, because always at the end that Afadma gives the juice to the people. So don't come and you leave by 4 p.m. When you come, try to stay till the end and receive your blessing, because you'll be on the Sunday.
What does it take to be part of what Afadma is going to be doing in Bamenda on Sunday? But it starts tomorrow.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow with a program from 4 p.m., a little workshop, and it extends to Sunday. And the registration fee is just 5,000 francs. Mr. Leo, in our region, 5,000 francs is 5 bottles of beer. So if you forgo 5 bottles of beer, you can give yourself a good moment to learn.
It can be the best gift you can ever give to a friend. You are going out with a girl for 4 years. You've done nothing for her. Tell her to go and learn digital skills for 5,000 francs.
5,000 francs.
You have a niece or anybody who is close to you. You think you want to bless them. Call the numbers on your screen, and tomorrow, if they're in Bamenda or around Bamenda, they should be part of the workshop that will hold in Bamenda tomorrow and on Sunday. Where and time?
On Sunday is at the Epic Center, Ayaba Street. I think Sunday and Saturday the same venue, and time on I think time on Sunday is 12 p.m. On Saturday is 4 p.m. if I'm not mistaken.
Saturday is actually the digital upgrade for corporate training that we have with some companies.
Okay.
Yeah, but the conference itself is on Sunday at 12 p.m. Epic Center, Ayaba Street.
Mm-hmm. And registration still ongoing?
Yes, registration still ongoing. Even on Sunday, you
Even
can
on
come.
Sunday morning, you can still, the numbers are there. You can get to the team already in Bamenda, and they are there. They can orientate you on how to get yourself. If you don't know the venue, you can get to them, and they can give you description.
What
on
would
how
they be
to
taking the people through? What aspects of digital marketing?
So, like I said, there are other trainers, but the three main ones that we have on the program will be on our social media, our Google Suite, and our AI, because we know that in the years ahead, we are seeing the way we are in an election year. We are seeing the way our presidential aspirants are trying to use social media for their campaigns. So it is good we understand that the world is shifting towards that aspect. So, and it's not only for them; it is for everybody.
So if you're in Bamenda, please, it is too cheap. 5,000 francs. Just get your sisters or your junior brothers and sisters around to be part of this opportunity to get skills, knowledge on social media, digital space. And I hope that if you have a small business, you have good reasons to trust in the potential of the digital space, so that you can increase your sales. You should call this number so that you can register yourself, get the skills yourself, teach yourself, so that you can sell and see if after 1 year something is not going to happen in your business. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Thank you, televiewers of my Media Prime. Thank you, my dear panelists.
Mr. Orok, you have one last word for those watching us?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Leo, and thank you to the followers of Prime R. So tomorrow is Saturday. I'm not in Bamenda, but I'll be at Bonasama. The students of Afatma, is my 11th batch with them. Very, very amazing. I think what I didn't do for the last 10 batches, I'll do for the 11th batch, Mr. Leo.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. And to the people in Bamenda, see you on Sunday. Please don't miss this great opportunity.
Okay, we want to thank you all for watching tonight, and to the production team, Eli and Desmond. We are very grateful, and to you, Tabi, Tambe, Bryant, and it's Friday. We wish you a great weekend. See you on Monday for another great edition. Stay blessed. Bye.